Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life Stories. I'm so glad that you're here. Today on the podcast, I speak with Kate Driver, who is a naturopath in Australia. She's definitely the farthest guest that I've had so far, and I had a great conversation with her. I will tell you, any men that are listening, I know my dad likes to listen, any other men, this may not be the episode that you will enjoy the most because we talk about perimenopause and menopause, and we talk about all the things. So I'm just giving you the heads up now. You've been warned. So the word of the week this week
It's the word of the week.
is care. One of the things that Kate does in her business and in her online program is that she helps women learn how to take care of themselves. I'm sure I'm probably not the only woman who has put herself last in a lot of areas. And I don't say that as poor, pitiful me. It just is something that you do as a mom and a wife. You tend to take care of your kids and your husband and the people around you, thinking you're not a priority. And so I'm learning at this stage in my life that I've got to become a priority, and I'm learning how to take better care of myself. So I hope you'll enjoy our conversation, especially women in their 40s and 50s who are in that stage of life. I think you will learn a lot. Kate has a lot to offer online in her programs, and she talks about that today. And I thank you for being here. How are you?
How are you? Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Thank you so much for chatting. You were definitely the earliest interview I've done and the farthest interview I've done. I spoke to,
Oh, really? Furthest
yeah,
away. Yeah,
I,
okay.
yeah, I spoke to someone in Latvia and someone in England, but you were
Oh,
definitely the
wow.
farthest. So yeah, so I'm
Oh,
excited
yeah.
to talk to you today.
Whereabouts are you?
So I'm in Texas. I'm in East
Oh,
Texas.
yeah.
Yeah, I've been in Texas my whole life. I've kind of lived all over the state, but we're pretty settled now. Our kids are grown and we're pretty settled out
Yeah.
here. So
Okay. So you're a Texan then?
I'm
Would I
a
call you a Texan?
Texan. Yes,
You're a Texan.
I am
Okay.
very much so. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
well, that's
I am looking, the people that I talk to on my podcast are all helping other people in some sort. A lot of nonprofits is
yeah.
what I reach out to, but I'm always looking for unique, ways people are helping. And I think I gravitated to yours just because the stage of life that I'm in.
Yeah, you mentioned. Are you in
And
menopause, eh?
yeah, I am getting there. I am definitely in perimenopause, but I've talked to so many women about this interview and they are so excited for me to talk to you. But I did your master class, which I thought was extremely informative. I learned a few things
Oh,
that
great.
I hadn't known. One of the things that surprised me was, when I look up anything about my hormones or any symptoms that I have, the first thing that people say is go get your hormones checked, and
Oh, yeah.
you need to take this or you need to take this, and you didn't say that. I never, after it was over, I thought she didn't tell me to go, have my hormones checked so I could start taking this and this and this. Like that was not, which I was very impressed with. And the other thing
Yeah. Oh,
was,
good. Bad. Yeah.
yeah, the other thing was that
Yeah.
genetics only plays 10% of a role in.
Hmm.
That shocked me because I
Well,
mean that was good
oh,
news.
okay.
It was very encouraging to me. I can tell a
Yeah,
difference
it
when
is.
I'm not eating sugar, when I'm, eating healthy and I'm not doing everything I need to be doing. I know I'm not, but I can tell a difference. And I
Yeah.
think when I feel good, I think, well, I'm fine. I can have this and I feel good, but it does make a difference in what you're putting in your body. And I need to do it
Mm.
long term or for a few months and see how different I feel.
Be
I just need to
stricter.
be
Yeah.
committed to it.
Yeah. Well, what sort of symptoms do you get? Do you mind me asking?
A lot of night sweats,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
body aches, a lot of body aches. Those are the two
Mm.
worst things for me. Sometimes I get very irritable. Um,
Yeah.
that's not often, but that's another symptom. Brain fog, sometimes. But the
Mm.
body aches for me, the muscle aches, and the night sweats. Those two are the worst.
Yeah, you've probably got a lot of inflammation. So yeah, diet would be a good thing to look at in your gut. But yeah, and night sweats it can be horrible. I had them for a little while, some stage. It wasn't very long, and very mildly compared to what some women get. But
Yeah.
I didn't talk about it in the webinar, but what I find that is some women get sensitive to histamine around this
Mhm.
time. I certainly did. I had histamine intolerance through perimenopause. I'm a
Huh.
lot better now. I can't do an overload of histamine. If I do have lots of histamine foods, then I can get really hot and then feel like I'm getting a hot flush. But
Yeah.
yeah, that can do it, and high cortisol in the evenings. And that's
Mhm.
the change in the hormones. But so the worst thing you can do in the evening is having any stimulant. So you've just got to avoid those sort of things like sugar and coffee and alcohol and um, chocolate, bananas, spinach, avocados, tomatoes, all of those things that are high histamine as well. That can really
All the
help.
things
But
I love.
yeah, do you know what? I do too. I think
Yeah.
some people really love histamine foods. It's like an addiction when it comes to histamine, because it's a neurotransmitter we produce in our body. It's we need it, but it gives you these really weird symptoms. Brain fog can be one of them too.
Mhm.
Um, some women get bloating with it. They just get really bloated. But
Yeah.
yeah, it makes you crave those foods, and I definitely do. I crave the sort of histamine foods.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really interesting actually.
It is. It's
Craving
very
things,
interesting.
and then you get the symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah. So you are a
So,
naturopath,
yes.
and tell me what is a naturopath? Explain it to people what exactly what that is.
So a naturopath is a natural therapist that works with nature, basically. That's why it's called a naturopath. And we actually swear on the Hippocratic Oath, which medical professionals used to, but
Mhm.
now they, I don't know whether they do, but they definitely don't follow it. And that's that the Hippocratic Oath is the Hippocrates was the father of medicine, and he said, first do no harm. So basically naturopathy is about that as well, like not doing harm to anybody with anything uh, um, that could potentially cause you side effects or symptoms. So we use natural supplements to actually help the heal to sorry help to heal the body naturally and unlock the healing qualities or innate healing potential that we've got in our body already. So our body knows how to heal itself, and that's what I teach people. Like you have the ability to heal yourself, and you don't have to rely. I mean, I teach my clients and that you don't have to rely on other people. You can learn things yourself. That's why I'm big about education as well. So with naturopathy, we tend to educate people as well as help them heal naturally with natural supplements and herbs and vitamins and minerals, and looking at diet and looking at the body holistically. And it might be looking at lifestyle and your stress levels and your diet and all that sort of thing as well. But it's also we look at treating the cause of the cause of the symptoms, and not just the symptoms.
Yeah.
Because if you just treat the symptom, as in the medical profession taught to do that, then you're just suppressing a symptom. Basically, they suppress a symptom, and with naturopathy, we work on the symptoms, but we don't suppress them, because the symptom is there to tell your body that something is wrong, and so we
Right.
look for the cause. So, for instance, like with menopause or perimenopause, if there is hot flushes that we just spoke about, then we'd say, okay, well, what's causing your hot flushes? Yes, it's the change in hormones, and it can be a spike, an increase or a decrease in estrogen. But some people, it can be that there's a lot of inflammation in the body and high cortisol, and that can be causing the heat in the body and the flushes. And or some people can be histamine intolerance as well, or a combination of those two. And usually women with hot flushes tend to have more insulin resistance, and there's more glucose in the bloodstream, and that increases cortisol and causes more inflammation in the body as well. So it can be a combination of things. So we sort of look at, okay, well, what for this particular woman that is causing the symptoms. So as naturopaths, yeah, we look at that and treat the body as a whole. So you think about specialists in the medical profession too. There's a gastroenterologist or a cardiologist. What did I just say? Cardiologist. Yeah. For the cardiovascular system. And
Right.
so, and they just sort of specialize in one area of the body, which is sort of fair enough if you're having an operation or something. But when you hear this not all the time with these sort of specialists, but A majority of them, they'll just look at that system as a whole, like as its own entity, and not how it's connected with anything else. So, which is quite strange, because the hormones all work together, all the organs work together, the whole body works together. You know, you're not just the cardiovascular system, the blood and the heart and that sort of thing, and you're not just your digestive system. It's all of those things put together, and it influences each other. So if something goes out of whack, then it's going to actually affect everything. So yeah, as naturopaths, we look at that sort of thing too, like the systems all the endocrine glands and all the systems work together. So I sort of talk about it as all the hormones work in harmony, like an orchestra. And if one of the instruments, or really the hormones, or the glands, or the endocrine glands, are out of balance, and it's going to affect all of the hormones eventually, if it's out of balance for long enough. Yeah, so that's what we do as naturopaths. We sort of look at it all together and treat the body holistically too. So like I said, we just don't, I might give somebody say, okay, you're deficient in magnesium and zinc and vitamin C. So I'd give them some nutrients, or work on it with your diet and your food. But then maybe we need some herbs to strengthen some area of the body, like the digestive system, or help with the balance of the hormones. So we might use herbs as well. Sometimes I use homeopathics, because they can work at a bit of a deeper and different level. Yeah. So that, and yeah, I suppose that's most of it. Every naturopath's different to how deep they get with the treatment. So you can look at mindset too. And then I suppose, over the years now, I'm specialising in perimenopause and menopause. I think the mindset around this stage of life is really important to look at as well, isn't it? Like, because so many people have this just terrible connotation about, and it's a bit taboo, and it's like, oh, this is just an awful time of your life, and it's not to be celebrated, and it's, people don't want to talk about it. So even that sort of mindset that we have, I think it's probably more in Western society, that it can create more symptoms as well, and feeling ashamed of what you're going through and all that sort of thing, instead of celebrating, saying, well, this is, it's like it's the opposite of puberty, and it's it's a change. It's just a transition, not a disease.
Right.
So that's naturopathy. We don't sort of talk about diseases in, there's disease. It's like a dis-ease. It's something that's out of balance in the body.
Yeah.
So any symptom is just the beginning of it, or it could be the end of it as well. But it could be there for a long time. But disease is something that's actually going to show up if you don't listen to the symptoms in the early stages. And a lot of people do, don't they?
Yeah. So you offer a lot of programs for people. Your website is very, you have a lot of resources. Tell me what you offer. Like, what do you offer people that come to you and say, I need help. I need you to, this is where I am and I don't know what to do. And I'm guessing, because you're in Australia, you probably talk to people all over the world, I would think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So generally, I do consult in South Australia, where I live as well, but I specialise in perimenopause and menopause. So online, that's all I do. So I actually can do one-on-one consults like we are doing now, like just a session between two people. But I also have a perimenopause program, which I've had for, I'm not sure how long I've had it for now. It's how long has it been since COVID? I think it's about 5 or 6 years. Because I wrote it about 2 years before COVID, I think, and I could sort of lose track.
Yeah.
So yeah, 5 or 6 years I've had my perimenopause program. I used to run it live, and now I do it. You've seen my webinar, you said, so I do it. The webinar's evergreen, which means that you can watch that anytime, and the program you can just grab anytime as well. But I changed the price a bit, and I put it up and down, and depending what's happening. So sometimes I have a really good special, so it's a good time to grab it, and then it can go back to its normal price. So and I might be thinking of running it live soon. So it was originally an 8-week program, which I ran live quite a few times, I think over to about 2 years. And then I just put it on evergreen, which means everybody can access it when they like. and start when they're like. So not everybody has to start at the same time. I thought that might have been an easier option for some women.
Right.
And so that program can be doesn't have to be done in 8 weeks. Like, people have access all the time, and it runs through pretty much every system of the body and every aspect of perimenopause that you need to look at and address, including talking about hormones, because you said, oh, I don't tell people to go and get the hormones tested. In some cases I do, if that we come up against something that is difficult and it's more unusual. I might get somebody to get a salivary hormone test. Sometimes urinary, but they're more expensive. So blood hormone tests is, I don't know whether you have them, Shara, but they're not very I don't know what the right word is. They're not very
I will tell you, I had my hormones tested several years ago, and the doctor told me everything was normal, and I knew it was not normal. There were things out of whack. So I'm like, why
yeah,
do I go have them tested if, they're going to tell me I'm fine when I know things are out of whack? So,
yeah. Yeah, and that's what a lot of women get told. So, and then that's when they come and see naturopath, and they say, "Oh, look, like my doctor said all the blood tests are normal." So the reason is, in the blood, they only test one estrogen, they only test estradiol, and we need to look at your estrone, estriol, and estradiol. I don't know whether I talked about it. No, I don't think I talk about that in the webinar, but I go through that in the program as well, and the difference between these 3 hormones, and the fact that, when your doctor texts it, firstly, they don't usually ask you to do it on day 21 of your cycle. If you're not cycling anymore and you're in menopause, then you sort of don't know when to get it tested. So it can be different at any time. They can test follicle stimulating hormone, or FSH, and LH, or luteinizing hormone, and they both will go up if your ovaries are starting to stop working and you're going through perimenopause and menopause. So that's probably the most accurate sort of thing to get tested. But then most people know that they're going through it anyway. So it's
right.
not that helpful. It's like, if you're getting symptoms and you're 40 something or 50 something, then you're probably in perimenopause or menopause. So I usually get salivary hormones because it tests all the different types of estrogen and the ratios, and they're what we call unbound hormones as well, which means that they're free in the body, and they can be acting on any organ of the body. So, because all these hormones actually don't just act on our reproductive system, they act everywhere in our body. And that's why we get symptoms when they change. Like you said, brain fog and other things can affect everything, even digestive issues and that sort of thing. Yeah, so in my program, I've sort of gone off on a tangent, but in my program, then I talk about that sort of thing, and I offer also now with it personalized health. So I've actually studied to be a personalized health coach as well, and it's one of the best things I've added to naturopathy for a long time, which means that women have a particular dietary and exercise advice, and even down to what time you should be going to sleep and how much sleep you should be getting. And it
Wow.
helps balance the circadian rhythm of each woman, because it's very specific for them. So not everybody's going to be the same at all. It's very specific. And this is what I love about it, because, generally, yes, in a program, I can tell people what to do. And this is why I do consults as well, because then I can be very specific for that woman.
Right.
So I have consultations with the program. But with this personalized health, it's something that then you can access on an app on your phone or your computer, and you have access to recipes and what foods you should and shouldn't be eating, what time of day you should be eating your meals,
Wow.
and like exercise routine. So you can actually have an exercise routine, and it's all at your fingertips. And this is part of how women can even get further with their health, and go into the anti-aging side of it as well, because it actually helps balance everything. And I've seen such good results with women, particularly that have low energy and can't sleep well, and have put on weights in perimenopause and menopause. It's
Yes.
been incredible, because some of them have just lost weight in the first 2 weeks, where they've never been able to lose weight before, and they've been stuck.
I have not done well with, like, I have always kind of put myself last, my kids, my husband, whoever else needs to be taken care of. And I have not always taken great care of myself. Thankfully, I've always been pretty healthy. Um, I sleep really well, which I'm very thankful for, but it's time. I've got to make some changes and do some things differently, because my body is changing, and I don't want to,
Yeah.
have any more problems or cause any problems. I want to be, but I haven't been diligent about it. And so, listening to your class and the things you talked about, I really am going to start being serious about making some changes. One of the questions I had, we talk
Mm.
about cortisol, it's the stress hormone. And when I think of stress, I think of, the stress as far as, bills and things, hard things that we're going. That's what I think of stress. But stress
Yeah.
can be caused by other things in our body, right? Like, are we putting stress on our bodies by eating poorly, or are we doing things to our body that can cause inflammation and cause us for that
Yeah.
hormone to increase?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question. Yep, absolutely. So it can be, yeah, eating the wrong sort of foods, too many processed foods, anything that causes inflammation. So a lot of preservatives and chemicals in foods can cause inflammation. Exposure to too many chemicals, like I teach women to try and go really clean in the house and with their makeup and skincare and do everything naturally, because you know, I'm not saying you are, but a lot of women, there's research years ago that there was like most women that didn't use anything natural would be exposed to about 100 different chemicals before they left
Wow.
the house, because they're in the shower, washing their hair, there's chemicals in the shampoo and the conditioner and in the soap, in their toothpaste, in their skincare that then they put on, in their hair care that they, hairspray and hair things, and then their makeup, and then when they might wear perfume and deodorant, and there's all these chemicals in there. And so
Yes.
this causes inflammation. So it's even things like that. So I teach women to go as natural as possible, and I've been doing it for years. So to me, it's just what
Yeah.
when
It's just normal.
to me, that's why I'm a naturopath too, because to me it's like natural for, I just we're naturally meant to be at one with nature. We're not
Right.
meant to have all these chemicals in our life.
Yeah.
That's what industry has sort of brainwashed us with, thinking that we have to have, and we don't. And yes, it
Yes.
can be sometimes practical for some people, or efficient for doing certain things more quickly or whatever, but it's not good for our health. And that's why there's so much illness and disease as well, because
Yeah.
there's too many chemicals we're getting exposed to. So yes, that causes inflammation, even like the hormones in food. And this is why, maybe you mentioned, you're 49 and still menstruating, and a lot of women I've had patients that still are when they're like 55, which is my age. So, and that can be because of the exposure to xenoestrogens, which are chemicals in our environment, and things like plastics and pesticide sprays and things like that, that can mimic in our body the estrogens that we normally produce, and they're called xenoestrogens.
Yeah.
And then that causes inflammation. It can be allergies that you're not aware of. So, food intolerances, like I was talking about histamine before. If somebody
Yeah.
starts to get sensitive to histamine, which happened to me, and it's happened to, I mean, I would say maybe I'm just guessing, maybe a quarter of the women that I see
Wow.
in perimenopause, menopause might become histamine intolerant. Then that will increase inflammation. Inflammation can come from the gut as well. There might be an imbalance in the microbiome or the bacteria in the gut lining that can create imbalance. And there could be parasites or candida overgrowth, which is the yeast that lives in the bowel.
Mm-hmm.
It can be medications that people are taking that can cause inflammation. If somebody has to take medications, it can be something like high blood pressure. It can be worrying. Worrying can cause high cortisol, just even if you're not rushing around, but you're just sitting there worrying about everything. Oh, what shall I do next? Or what's happening tomorrow? Why is life like this? Or whatever. you know,
Right.
over worrying and overthinking can
Yeah.
increase inflammation. There's so many different things.
Wow.
It's yeah, and that's when I talk about cortisol and stress. People think stress just has to be you feeling stressed and going, running
Right.
around
Yeah.
being stressed. But no, not at all. I mean, I think most people have a certain level of stress now because they're just so busy in multitasking. Oh,
Right.
and that was the other thing I was going to mention, is the exposure to electromagnetic fields from all the electrical appliances we have all around us all the time. Like you and I now,
Right.
I've got lots of lights on, we've got computers in front of us, we've got have to have Wi-Fi on, don't we? And then
Right.
people have mobile phones with them all the time. So we're getting exposed to 5G and Wi-Fi, and that's increasing inflammation. It has been shown to cause imbalance in the hormones. Particularly thyroid as well, which is quite common that people's thyroids become a little bit slower through this time as well. I see that quite a lot too. Yeah. So
Lots
that
of
is a big,
things can cause stress. So many.
yeah.
What would you tell someone if they wanted to, if they were having issues with their gut? What is the best way to heal their gut? Like, what is the first thing somebody can do besides eliminating sugar and alcohol and those obvious things? Is there anything that they can do um, or start doing to?
Well, it depends what sort of gut issue it is, and that's the thing. Are you just saying just generally, or just anything
Yeah,
particularly you mentioned?
I know when I've tried to take probiotics, and maybe I just don't take them long enough, but it hurts my stomach when I take those. And so I don't know if I'm taking the wrong kind or I just stop because it's so uncomfortable
Oh,
when I do
oh,
that.
okay. What where do you get pain?
Just I don't know, just in my belly, in my stomach, like
So you
in
start,
my mid abdomen.
oh, I mean, so around your belly button, because the
Mhm.
intestines are lower, your stomach's up higher, so it depends what area it's in.
It's
If it's
yeah, above
stomach
my belly button.
around, yeah, so that's more intestinal. Well, it probably means, I mean, it can be that you've got quite a strong imbalance there and you're taking too much. So probably with you, I would just try small amounts. So yeah, if you're talking about that sort of thing, like just general healing the gut, I mean, because if there's a hormone imbalance and if people have got symptoms through this stage of their life, they have to work on their gut health. So I always
Yeah.
talk about um, the gut-brain connection and how
Mhm.
much gut has to, or the when we say the gut, we're talking about the intestines now.
Right.
The intestinal bacteria or microbiome has a big influence on your estrogen, and there's something called the estrobolome, which helps balance the estrogens, and it's really helpful to have healthy at this stage of your life too. So if we're
Okay.
just talking about from that perspective, like how can we just get it healthier generally? If you don't have generally any like things like diarrhea or
Right.
bloating or um, some people get really bad flatulence and or reflux and burping and things like that. If there was just general hormonal imbalance and symptoms in perimenopause and menopause, and you wanted to just work on the gut a bit to improve your general health, then I would look at a probiotic like you're taking or a
Mhm.
prebiotic. Probiotics and prebiotics are probably better to be taken together. So the prebiotics are the fibers
Yeah.
that things like slippery elm and arabinogalactans are some that we use in Australia. I don't know how many you've got over there. Things like inulin, partially hydrolyzed guar gum or PHGG. There's quite a few different types, but when you put the fiber in with a probiotic or have it taken at the same time, then the probiotic has something to feed on, and also to the fiber or the prebiotic will actually help you produce more of the good bacteria. So for you might even find having prebiotics are actually better to begin with.
Okay.
So you're just trying to feed that gut bacteria and trying to make your own, and then you might be able to tolerate small amounts of the probiotic. So usually it just means that you might have too much of an imbalance of that bacteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, so probiotics can be good. I try and get people to say, okay, as you age, we generally get lower in stomach acid, so you might want to look at improving that stomach acid production so we can break down foods more efficiently.
Okay. Like
And
some
that's usually
digestive enzymes or something.
yeah, so you can do digestive enzymes, absolutely. But also I try and get people on apple cider vinegar if they can tolerate it to
Yeah.
begin with. They
Yeah.
can do both because when you stimulate the stomach acid stimulates your bile, and then and bile's the gooey stuff that your liver produces and your gallbladder stores, and that's needed to break down fats and also bind onto toxins and bacteria and things and push it
Yeah.
out of our bodies. That's really important. So when you increase your stomach acid by having apple cider vinegar, then that will improve the bile production as well. And when you stimulate your stomach acid, it also helps your pancreas produce more digestive enzymes. So
Okay.
that's why I like to start there. You can take pancreatic enzymes and digestive enzymes as well. If some women get really severe bloating, they might find that helpful. Even things like ginger and peppermint tea can be helpful to reduce
Okay.
inflammation in the intestinal tract. And I mean, just the basic things like make sure you have a bowel movement every day.
Right.
So some people just think it's normal to, because they might have had it all their life, have a bowel movement once every few days. Or there could be some people that have a bowel movement once a week, or some
Oh,
people might
wow.
have 3 bowel movements a day. But we want
Right.
to have a minimum 1 bowel movement a day, so we're
Yeah.
eliminating, and that's something else to work on too. And it might be a whole range of things that can be influencing that. But if we're not eliminating properly through getting rid of our toxins and things in our feces and all that excess waste, then we get a backup of toxins in the
Right.
body. So these estrogens that I talked about before, you can get these, well, we just call them bad estrogens.
Yeah.
They get recycled as well. So then you can get more of a estrogen dominance symptoms, which can be anything from moodiness to histamine intolerance that I've talked about before, or it can sometimes be hot flushes, but
Yeah.
women can get weight gain and then it ends up being a thyroid issue because excess estrogen can cause thyroid issues. So that can all stem from the gut. So that's really important for hormonal health too, is just bowel movements and fiber in your food.
Right.
And fiber, I'm not just talking about, I'm not talking about processed fiber. So, things like nuts and seeds and
Yeah.
plant fibers from vegetables and fruits as well. A lot of people don't have enough. I don't know what it's like over there, but some people say to me they eat vegetables only a few times a week, and we're meant to have 5 to 6 cups a day to
Yeah.
feed that good bacteria to get all
Me,
those.
I
Yeah,
try to cook. I cook probably 5 nights a week, and I try to do vegetables, with dinner at least every day. And right now is when we eat our healthiest because we have a very large garden, and so we're eating, right out of the garden. We've got zucchini and squash and new potatoes, and lots
that's
of
great.
kale and
Oh,
lots of Swiss chard. So right, for the next several months, we'll be eating very fresh from all of that, which I love, but we can't do it. We don't have it all year. And but I still try to cook vegetables. Like my husband wants something green with every dinner. So no matter what I'm cooking, I always make sure I have something green. So we eat,
yeah,
we
that's
don't,
great.
I don't like keeping junk food here because I'm home all day. And if I want to grab a snack, it's just too convenient for me to just grab junk. So I don't keep it here. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's
if it, but if it's here, if we have, people over, we have meat, desserts or whatever, I have very little willpower sometimes, especially with
yeah,
chocolate. Chocolate is my favorite. But like I said, I am definitely going to be committed to making some changes because I need to. I really need to. So this
yeah.
has been extremely informative and helpful to me, and I know it's going to be to a lot of other people. Is there anything that you would suggest to someone besides getting online and looking at your website and joining your program? Is there anything you would suggest to any woman who's in this stage of life and has so many questions?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Not to do with their hormones, just questions for me. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just,
Oh, okay.
somebody
Yeah.
who's confused, and there's just so many things changing in our lives at this stage with our bodies and just, our minds. If somebody had lots of questions, where do I begin? How do I begin to get help? Or
Yeah, well, exactly. It can be really confusing. And I know that even though I knew what was happening, but some women come to see me and they don't realize they're in perimenopause. And then, it's good to have somebody like myself that we can chat about it. And it's like giving you emotional support, but also support to know exactly what to take and what to do. And I know lots of women do this and they might do it for years and then come and see me because they've wasted all that time, that you might Google this and so your friend's taking that thing or doing this or whatever. And it can be trial and error in a lot of cases.
yeah,
So if the women want to reach out and just ask me, I mean, I'm quite happy to share, if you do share it here with the interview, any of my details, and you can reach out and ask me questions and say, okay, well, what would you suggest for me? Because I mean, I wouldn't just say everybody do the perimenopause program. It might not be right for
right,
some women.
right,
So I would say, well, if somebody was really struggling and had very specific symptoms, then I would actually suggest that they have one-on-one consultations. And we just, I'll put together a package and say, okay, well, you can get 3 consults at a cheaper rate, and we do it that way.
sure,
So they can have just that one-on-one support with me and not worry about having to do a program. I might pull some things out of that program that helps them. We would definitely do the personalized health, and this is why I've added that because that's just a game changer for everybody.
Right.
It's really easy to follow. Like, and when I say diet, I mean just what they need to eat. It's not,
Right.
and
Right.
women that are losing weight on it is just not really even that restrictive. I mean, there's things that you shouldn't eat, but it's not like you're not starving yourself.
Yeah.
So that sort of thing can be really helpful. But yeah, I would say to women, just reach out and tell me what they've got. If they do the webinar, so webinar is a good start. Like you said, you've seen the
Yes.
webinar and it's really handy. You can watch that first. And if somebody is really, really exhausted, I have a guide called Ditch the Hormone Drama, which is all about adrenal fatigue and some of the symptoms that go with that. So they could, and that's a free little guide. They might want to
Yeah.
just start reading that, just because that gives you a bit of a rundown of what perimenopause is. And because they might read it and go, oh, right, I understand this a bit more. Yes, I am in this stage of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some women might be like in their late 30s, early 40s, and they may not be in perimenopause.
Right.
They might actually just have adrenal or just a hormone imbalance and adrenal fatigue or some thyroid issues that needs to be worked on as well.
Yeah.
Um, but perimenopause usually starts for most women mid-40s, and a change in their cycle, their menstrual cycle changes, or even their period when they are menstruating, they might, find that that's changed as well.
Hmm.
There's other symptoms too, like, all the other symptoms that we talk about, but
Right.
sometimes it can just be, if they're younger, something
Yeah.
else. So that's why I tell women not just to jump into the perimenopause program, because
Right.
menopausal women are quite welcome to do it. But like I said, I've got a membership that if somebody's in menopause would like to get on the wait list, I can give you the link, and then women can join that. It's going to be, yeah, it's a very minimal price. So it's a bit of good introduction to me if they want to start that
Yeah.
way. That will be for perimenopause and menopausal women. It's
Hmm.
called perimenopause and menopause support, or PMS, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah.
Um, join PMS, because a lot of women do feel like they've got
We
PMS all the
just
time.
we never get rid of PMS, I guess. From there to there. It's PMS. That's funny.
Oh,
I love
you
that.
should. Yeah.
That's
I
too
don't
funny.
know. Some women that I never really experienced it that much. I did sometimes. Actually, the tiny time I really had PMS was in perimenopause. But some women like you, if you feel like you've had it your whole life,
Yeah.
then it's not much of a change. But for me, it was quite different. I was like, oh my God, this is PMS and perimenopause. Awful. How do women put up with this? And I have some patients that have it all the time, constantly. So that might be some of these ladies that are listening now. If you feel like you've always got premenstrual tension or premenstrual stress or whatever they call it, syndrome, then all the time, then you definitely, have to do something,
Yeah.
because that's a sign that the hormones are right out of whack. Um, that's probably the main options. I will have a menopausal program as well eventually, but I want to just start with this membership, and
Yeah.
there's going to be enough information and enough support from me, because I am on a mission.
Yeah.
And that's, even though this is my business and my career, I do love what I do, and I'm really passionate about it. And there's too many women suffering, and they don't need to, and that they don't have to. I really, respect any women out there that want to take HRT. That's fine if that's what you want to do.
I don't want to do
Um,
that.
you don't you don't need to do that, and you don't need to suffer, and you don't need to wonder, well, what isn't the alternative not great, and you have to make all these changes.
Right.
No, not necessarily, but if you do it naturally, then you're going to get long-term results. You're going to have longevity. You're not going to have all the exposure to these synthetic hormones that are going to cause you more issues, which hopefully most people know about.
Right.
But yeah, it'll give you more risks for lots of different diseases if the longer you take it. And
Yeah.
it's not what our body's meant to be naturally doing.
No. Right.
What people are doing is, okay, you might reduce your symptoms, but you're replacing the hormones that are meant to be dropping. We're meant to not have hormones as many
Right.
like we did when we. So they're trying to go through puberty again by giving themselves more hormones, and that's going to cause an issue with the body, because you're
Yeah.
doing something that is going against what your body's naturally trying to do at this stage of your life. Your
Right.
hormones are meant to drop. Yeah,
Yes.
we have symptoms, but you can manage them and get rid of them naturally through
Yeah.
a few little things. Yeah.
I think this was very helpful for me, and I know it will be for so many people. And I thank you for chatting with me. This has been fun, and it's neat that I got to talk to you so far away. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Oh, I love it too. And I tend to talk to people in America, if anywhere, because you've got such a bigger population. But
Yeah,
and it's fun. It's just amazing that we can do this sort of thing, isn't
it
it? Like
is. It is amazing.
you get to meet people that you can never ever meet before.
Sure.
Like you can't fly all the way across the world just to do something like this. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very grateful that you've asked me. And I do love things like this. So yeah, if there's anybody else out there that wants me to talk for them, that's great. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. My day is just getting started. I know yours is winding down, so
Oh yes.
I appreciate you meeting with me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really lovely to see
Absolutely.
you. Maybe I'll
Yes.
pass my across another time, but if not, I
Yeah.
wish you well. Thank you so much again. It's been fun.
Thank you. You have a
Have the
wonderful
energy.
evening.
Thanks, you
Okay.
too.
All right. Bye-bye.